Arrowhead Stadium, home of the Chiefs and home of Patrick Mahomes, who has 5 touchdowns and no interceptions in his last 3 games, as Kansas City plays host to one of 3 remaining undefeated teams, along with the Chargers and Panthers in the 4-0 Jacksonville Jaguars. And how do you put a 4-0 team on their heels? You punch them right in the mouth. Kareem Hunt with the ankle breaker, and off to the races right out of the gate. 10-5 touchdown Kansas City, and an immediate 7-0 lead. Then less than a minute later, Blake Bortles, who came into the game with 11 touchdowns and no interceptions, fires deep, but it's underthrown, and he pitches the pick. Flag would be holding, and the Chiefs take over. Where on second down, Mahomes with a play fake looks to throw and finds Chris Conley over the middle for a pickup of 19 and a first down to the 40. But 2 plays later, the Chiefs give it right back as Mahomes fakes, and Calais Campbell with the sack, forcing the fumble, which will be recovered by Yannick Ngakoue, resulting in a Jaguar field goal. After a Chiefs punt, Leonard Fournette takes the carry off the left side and is tackled by Chris Jones and stays down, holding his wrist. Fournette would head to the locker room and would miss the rest of the game. Fast forward to the second quarter, Mahomes throws the quick out to Demetrius Harris, who breaks the tackle of Jalen Ramsey and is going to turn the short pass into a 26-yard gain near midfield. And after a false start, 1st and 15, Mahomes throws quick again out to Damian Williams, who breaks away from 2 and then a third, and then goes full on beast mode to break away from the rest of the Jaguar defense on his way to a 60-yard touchdown catch to put the Chiefs up 14-3, and early on they look like the undefeated team. Jaguars looking to answer back, and on the first play, Bortles hits Keelan Cole for a pickup of 15 yards to move the chains. 3 plays later, 3rd and 4, and Bortles finds his second tight end, Niles Paul, for 19 yards to the Chiefs 27. 3rd down again, and the Chiefs defense can't get off the field as Fournette's replacement TJ Yeldon takes this carry 15 yards up the middle to set up 1st and goal, where on the very next play it's Yeldon again, this time from 4 yards out, and a touchdown to cut it to 14-10. Yeldon would finish with 93 yards rushing on the day, filling in for Fournette. First play of the ensuing drive, and another unfortunate injury here as you see Mahomes get hit as he throws. Play goes for 5 yards, but Mahomes would be injured on the play. Mahomes gets up from the hit, but as you can see, he looks a bit discombobulated, and he would end up heading to the locker room, where early indications were that it was a rib injury, and an update will be provided after the game. So that brings in former Jaguar Chad Henne, who on his first pass attempt play fakes and is buried in the backfield by Yannick Ngakoue, and this game would head into half with the Chiefs up 14-10. So 3rd quarter now, we're on 3rd and 14. The Chiefs only rush 3, giving Bortles all day to throw, and just as pressure finally arrives, he floats one to Keelan Cole, who makes the catch for 28 yards into Kansas City territory. 3rd down, and the Jaguars convert again as Yeldon takes it off the left side and spins his way to a 9-yard pickup on 3rd and 2. But 3 plays later, the Chiefs defense finally gets a stop as Bortles play fakes, and D Ford immediately drops him for the 8-yard loss, giving him 3.5 sacks on the year and nearly pushing the Jaguars out of field goal range. But Doug Marrone sends out Josh Lambo, and from 56 yards out, it's good, cutting the Chiefs lead to 1. Later in the 3rd, Jacksonville with the ball back, and TJ Yeldon converts again on 3rd down to keep the Jaguars drive alive. Next play, Bortles drops back to pass, moves to his right, and hits D.D. Westbrook for 13 yards and another first down. 3 plays later, and yet another 3rd down conversion as Bortles hits Dante Moncrief, who has the moves, and picks up 18 yards down to the Chiefs 31. But this drive would end the same as the last, as on 3rd and 4, Bortles looks to throw, but immediate pressure from Justin Houston this time, who drops him for the sack, and another loss of 8. And once again, the Jaguars have to settle for a Josh Lambo field goal, but do take a 16-14 lead. Last play of the 3rd quarter, and it's back to the man who kicked things off, as Kareem Hunt, who had 158 yards rushing on the day, picks up 48 of those here, taking it well into Jaguar territory as the Chiefs look to regain the lead as they head to the 4th, down by 2. But then to start the 4th, Henne play fakes, and again no protection whatsoever as Malik Jackson gets in for the sack, which would kill the Chiefs drive, setting up a Harrison Butker 49-yard field goal, which is good as gold, and the Chiefs retake the lead. Jaguars would respond though, as on the first play of their drive, Bortles hits tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins for 18 yards and a first down. Next play, it's Bortles looking to throw again, and this time finding Dante Moncrief over the middle for 22 yards and another first down. 2 plays later, Bortles throwing again and finding Keelan Cole on the comeback for another 13 yards to the Chiefs 22. But on the next play, the story story of the second half for the Jaguars as pressure once again gets home and Justin Houston takes down Bortles for his second sack of the game. And on 3rd and long, Bortles looks to throw and hits DJ Chark over the middle, who makes a bunch of good moves but none to get forward and ends up being stopped 2 yards shy of the marker. And the Jaguars play it safe and send out Lambeau for his 4th field goal of the game, and from 32 yards out he makes it 19-17. Chiefs would go 3 and out, but look at this punt by Dustin Colquitt as it bounces inside the 5 and then goes out inside the 1, about as close to the goal line as you can get. And remember, it's only a 2-point game, so a safety ties it. But on 1st down, it's Yeldon giving the Jags some room as he has a huge hole and picks up 12 and a 1st down. But hold on just a second, on the next play, Chris Jones comes through and buries Blake Bortles for another sack to push the Jags back inside the 5. But then on 3rd and long, the Chiefs again choose to rush only 3, which gives Bortles all day and plenty of time to find Dante Moncrief for 28 yards and a huge Jaguar 1st down. Next play, the Jaguars throw again as Bortles play fakes and finds Safarian Jenkins for 12 more near midfield. But on 3rd and long, Bortles looks to throw and goes deep, and for the second time it's going to be intercepted, this time by Orlando Scandrick, but the result is more or less the same as a punt. And with 3:50 to go, Henny with a chance to beat his old team, and on the first play he finds Demetrius Harris, who bulldozes forward for 13 yards and a 1st down. 2 plays later, 2nd and 8, and Henny looks to throw, steps up in the pocket and hits the crosser to Tyreek Hill, who looks like he's able to get to the 1st down marker and convert, but his 3rd catch of the day would not go for the 1st down as he would be marked about a half yard shy. Henny hurries everyone to the line and on 3rd and inches decides to give the inside handoff to Damian Williams, but Yannick Ngakoue is there to stuff him in the backfield for a loss, and the Chiefs would let it run down to the 2-minute warning, where on 4th down Henny looks to throw and goes short and somehow fits it into Sammy Watkins, who hangs on for the 1st down catch to keep the Chiefs' hopes alive. Chiefs with 3 timeouts but decide to go hurry up again. Henny gets everyone to the line, takes a peek at the Jaguars defense before snapping the ball and looking to throw. Henny steps up and then decides to take off and run, and would slide down short of the marker after picking up 9. And with 1:34 to go, the Chiefs use their 1st timeout. Out of the timeout, Chiefs opt to go back to the run game as the give goes to Kareem Hunt on 2nd and 1, who picks up 11 down to the Jaguar 41. And on the next play, the Chiefs go right back to Hunt, but he only picks up 4 this time as the clock continues to roll. Next play, Henny looks to throw, has plenty of time and tries to go short, but throws it right off his center's back for the incomplete pass, bringing up 3rd and 6 from the Jaguar 37, where Henny again looks to throw and tries to hit Tyreek Hill on the crosser, but Telvin Smith will not allow it. So that brings on Harrison Butker, who lines up for the 54-yard field goal, but it's Doug Marrone calling the timeout to freeze the Georgia Tech product. But out of the timeout, you can't ice a man with ice in his veins. They call him the butt kicker because he is an ass kicker, and he nails the long kick to give the Chiefs the lead with 20 seconds to go. Jaguars with one last chance, and Bortles looks to throw, plenty of time, and finds TJ Yeldon, who breaks a tackle and picks up 14 to the 39. Next play, it's Bortles to Yeldon again, but he only picks up 6, and with 1 second left and no timeouts, the Jaguars' last hope is a Hail Mary. Bortles throws it deep, and it's tipped and intercepted by Orlando Scandrick, who just needs to go down, tries to, but Superman dives and fumbles. Jaguars are there, but the ball bounces around, and it's finally the Chiefs' Ron Parker falling on it as the Chiefs avert near disaster. And on a day where the Jaguars' starting running back goes down in Leonard Fournette and the Chiefs' starting quarterback in Patrick Mahomes goes down, both replacements fill in admirably, and the Chiefs are able to pull out a huge win to move to 3-2 on the year. TJ Yeldon rushes for 93 yards on 20 carries and also has 6 catches, while Chad Henne goes 9 of 16 for 94 yards and leads the game-winning drive to knock off the now 4-1 Jaguars. Kansas City will have another stiff test next week as they head to New England to face the Patriots on Sunday night, likely without Patrick Mahomes, while Jacksonville looks to bounce back as they are on their way to Dallas to face the 3-2 Cowboys. All right, guys, so we clutch up and get the big win against the previously 4-0 Jaguars to move to 3-2, but not without a little bit of a scare there at the end. I was just trying to go down, so I tapped the X button and completely forgot that you have to hold like 3 different buttons just to give yourself up, and he ended up diving as you saw, and then of course fumbling as soon as he gets touched, and that could have been a disaster of epic proportions, but really glad it didn't turn out to be. But obviously, as you guys saw in that game, Patrick Mahomes went down with an injury, and that injury turned out to be broken ribs, and that's going to clearly be an even bigger blow to our team with Travis Kelce already out. But Mahomes is going to be out for 3 weeks, which isn't the end of the world, but going into New England to face the Patriots without him definitely isn't ideal. But I've done okay with Henny in his 2 appearances, so we'll have to see how that goes, but going to likely have to lean heavily on the running game in that one. But with him getting injured, we have to make a roster move because that leaves me with only 1 active quarterback on the roster. So the obvious move is going to be signing a QB to be the backup, and that QB is going to be coming from our practice squad and will be Chase Litton, who will be promoted to the active roster and is a 63 overall. And then we had to clear a roster spot to promote him to the roster, and the move that was made there was to release and move wide receiver Marcus Kemp to the practice squad. So nothing too crazy, and I might just keep things like this once Mahomes gets healthy, because Kemp never played in the first place, and with as much as I get sacked, it's a little scary being 1 snap away from a kicker or punter coming in at quarterback. Moving on though, we'll get into some negotiations, starting with Spencer Ware, who signed a 3-year $14.3 million extension with $4.4 million guaranteed. And this actually kind of played out in an interesting way, because if you guys remember last video or last week, he actually rejected a slightly lower offer, and I contemplated whether or not it was worth keeping him. And one of the 2 new players ready to negotiate this week was running back Damian Williams, who you guys saw make the big touchdown catch in the highlights. But what happened was I compared him and Ware and decided that I was going to offer Williams a contract and see where he stood. The problem with Williams though was that he wanted a 5-year, nearly $24 million contract, which was about the same value per year, but a 5-year deal wasn't really what I was looking to make. So I first offered him the 3-year deal, and he rejected it, saying that there wasn't anything about the deal that he liked, which led me to offering Ware the exact same deal, which is the one that he ended up accepting. So then negotiations were then withdrawn with Damian Williams. And then lastly, we have Orlando Scandrick, who was a very quick decision. He's going to be 32 next season and isn't very good to begin with, so moving on from him isn't very hard, although it does seem like every guy that I withdraw negotiations with goes on to have a big game. Ron Parker had a pick in the game following, and then Damian Williams has the big touchdown catch, and then Scandrick had 2 interceptions in that game that I just played as well. But moving on to scouting, we have another new draft tweet from Peter Schrager, and it says, "Word is Earl Turnbull has serious business aspirations, so much so that he's giving up football." So that's an interesting one, and I went to scouting, and there's only 449 players listed out, and usually there's 450, so I guess we won't be seeing him, but I'll keep his name written down just in case he pops up. But the only 2 players making the draft board this week are a pair of left tackles in Jeff Clark from Florida State and Blair Schlotteroff from Ohio State. I don't anticipate taking a left tackle in the first round, so Clark may not be the move, but Schlotteroff looks pretty good for a 3rd round prospect. And with that, we're on to the league news, starting with the rest of Week 5's action, where the Patriots handled the Colts at home on Thursday night and will have 10 days to prepare for Chad Henne and the Chiefs. Moving to Sunday, the Titans put a 40-burger on the Bills, while the Falcons get their first ever win in Pittsburgh, winning in overtime 23-17. The Broncos take down the Jets 27-20 on the road. Packers beat the Lions 35-25. Browns exact some revenge on the Ravens for stealing their franchise, winning 17-12. Giants get the first shutout of our CFM as they go on the road and shut out Cam Newton and the Panthers and hand them their first loss. Dolphins win at the Bengals, and then in a huge upset, the Raiders go on the road to take down the Chargers and beat them by 21 points. 49ers edge the Cardinals, while the Eagles once again handle the Vikings in an NFC Championship rematch. Rams assert NFC West dominance, beating the Seahawks, while the Cowboys win the Battle of Texas 24-21 21 over the Texans on Sunday night. And then on Monday night, Alex Smith and the Redskins hand the Saints their third straight loss with a 23-17 overtime win. Looking at the AFC standings, the Patriots and Dolphins both hold a 2-game lead over the Bills and Jets to lead the East. In the North, the top two teams also both sit at 3-2 with the Steelers and Browns, while the 2-3 Ravens and 0-5 Bengals trail. The Jaguars dropped their first game of the season but still lead the South, but only by a game over the Titans at 3-2. And then finally in the West, the Broncos and Chargers sit tied at the top at 4-1, while we trail behind both by a game with losses to both as well. And then the Raiders sit a game back of us, still in last place. To the NFC, the Eagles lead the way at 4-1, but the Redskins are right on their heels at 3-1, and the Cowboys and Giants are only a game back at 3-2, as the whole division is above 500 through 5 weeks. The Packers lead the North over the Vikings by a game, with both the Bears and Lions behind with only one win apiece. The Panthers lead the South, but only by a half a game over the Falcons, and the Saints, after starting 2-0, have lost 3 straight, and the Buccaneers look to right the ship as they had a bye and remain at 0-4. The West is all bunched up with the Rams and Seahawks at the top with 3-2 records, while both the 49ers and Cardinals are a game back at 2-3. Both offensive players of the week for Week 5 are members of the 99 Club, starting with Tom Brady of the Patriots, who threw for 291 yards and 4 touchdowns on Thursday night to help the Patriots win their second in a row. Brady wins his first Player of the Week award of 2018, but this week's award also is the 31st of his career. For the NFC, it was 99 overall quarterback Aaron Rodgers taking home the award for the second week in a row. Rodgers made up for his 2 interceptions by throwing for 421 yards and 3 touchdowns to help the Packers win 35-25 at division rival Detroit. This is the first time Rodgers has ever won back-to-back Player of the Week awards in his career. On the defensive side, longtime Chief and current Raider Derek Johnson is the recipient of this week's AFC Defensive Player of the Week award. A rather pedestrian week, as he only notches 6 tackles, all of which were solo, and 1 for loss, but he also picked off Phillip Rivers and returned it 11 yards for a score to help the Raiders upset the Chargers in LA. The NFC award also goes to a middle linebacker who wins it in a bit of a different way, as the 49ers' Reuben Foster takes home his first career Player of the Week award, accumulating 8 tackles, 7 solo, but 3 sacks from his inside linebacker position to help the 49ers earn a 24-21 home win over the Cardinals. Moving to the league leaders, the passing yardage leader comes from the 808, as Marcus Mariota now leads the way with 1,584 yards passing. MVPs Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, and Aaron Rodgers are second, third, and fourth, and then 9 yards behind is the quarterback we just faced in Jaguars' Blake Bortles. As for passing touchdowns, Tom Brady moves into a tie with the Eagles' Carson Wentz with 15 touchdowns on the year through 5 games. Both Brady and Wentz are on pace for 48 touchdowns on the year. Rounding out the top 5 are the Titans' Marcus Mariota, the 49ers' Jimmy Garoppolo, and the Jaguars' Blake Bortles. On to the rushers, where once again the Cowboys' Ezekiel Elliott is the league's leading rusher with 577 yards. Le'Veon Bell of the Steelers is 45 yards behind with 532, and our own Kareem Hunt enters the top 5 after a big day with an even 500. Todd Gurley and Marshawn Lynch round out the list at 4th and 5th. When it comes to touchdowns on the ground, Todd Gurley sits alone at the top with 7 through 5 weeks, while Beast Mode, Devontae Freeman, and Seahawks' Chris Carson are tied for second with 5 apiece. The league's leading rusher Zeke Elliott is 5th, tied with others with 4 rushing touchdowns. Moving to receivers, where we have a new stat category we'll be tracking each video, which is going to be receptions. Leading the way after 5 weeks is Packers rookie receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling with 35. He sits 3 receptions ahead of a 3-way tie for second between Cole Beasley, Alshon Jeffrey, and Julian Edelman, while John Ross is 1 behind them with 31 catches on the year. After 1 week away, Quincy Enunwa returns to the top of the receiving yards leaders with 412 yards on the year. Cole Beasley drops back to second with 400 yards, while both of our receivers drop out of the top 5 this week to make way for Alshon Jeffrey, Rashard Matthews, and Julian Edelman, who are all separated by just 5 yards. Moving to receiving touchdowns, nothing has changed but the order, as nobody adds any scores this week, and Alshon Jeffrey, Keelan Cole, and our very own Tyreek Hill remain tied at the top with 5 touchdown catches. Among many others tied with 4 receiving touchdowns are Jamison Crowder and the Lions' Golden Tate. And then moving to the defense, another new stat category I'll be tracking will be the NFL tackle leaders. And through 5 weeks, the top tackler is the Cowboys' Sean Lee. Behind him is the Texans' Zach Cunningham, the Rams' Mark Barron, and the Seahawks' Bobby Wagner. And then rounding out the list is a guy who was on the Chiefs during preseason, in former Raider, former Redskin, and is now a Lion in cornerback David Amerson. Joey Bosa added 2 more sacks against the Raiders this week to bring his season total to 8. Von Miller added 1.5 sacks to push him to second on the list over Khalil Mack, who went sackless, and Calais Campbell, who notched a sack against us. And then rounding out the top 5 is last year's sack leader Chandler Jones with 5.5. And then lastly, for the league leaders, we have the interception leaders, where Tramon Williams and John Johnson both get interceptions to move themselves into a tie for first with Casey Hayward Jr. Brent Grimes of the Buccaneers and Adrian Colbert of the 49ers get their shine on the leaderboard this week as 2 of the many players tied with 2 interceptions. So as we look forward to next video and next week's schedule, the week kicks off on Thursday night with a big NFC East matchup as the 4-1 Eagles travel to New York to face the 3-2 Giants. Moving to Sunday, the Buccaneers look for their first win of the year traveling to Atlanta. Game of the week very well could be the 3-1 Panthers heading to Washington to face the 3-1 Redskins. Seahawks and Raiders go overseas to play in London. Colts at Jets in an old AFC East matchup. Cardinals at Vikings, and the Bengals, another team looking to get their first win of the year, hosting the Steelers. Browns look for a statement win as they host the 4-1 Chargers, who are coming off a 38-17 loss to the Raiders. 1-4 Bills travel to Houston to face the 0-5 Texans in this week's dud of the week. Bears at Dolphins, Rams at Broncos in another good matchup, Ravens at Titans, Jaguars at Cowboys, and then on Sunday night, it's a matchup between a legendary Michigan quarterback with years of NFL experience and some other guy named Tom Brady. And then on Monday night, a classic 90s rivalry revisited as the 49ers travel to Green Bay to face the Packers. Alright guys, so that puts week 5 in the books. Good win over the Jaguars to get us to 3-2, but a real tough test next video as we go on the road to face the 3-2 Patriots and Tom Brady on Sunday night with Chad Henne at the helm. As for now, the gameplay is going to be to run first and try to play some good defense, but we'll just have to wait and see how that game plays out. But I appreciate you guys tuning in and joining me on this franchise journey. Hope you're enjoying the highlights and the series itself, but join me next video as we look to move to 4-2 and possibly into a tie for first place. And as always, thanks for watching.